The warm care of the vast grassland by the pink elephant on the grassland filled with pink go-go's flowers. Walking is a dreamy pink elephant named Mian Mian. Mian Mian's skin is like soft powdered cotton candy with a faint luster. Her long nose is like a flexible powdered silk ribbon. Her big ears flap up like two pink clouds. Her forelegs are as thick as pink pillars. When she walks, she makes a thump-thump sound. Little zebra Tiao Tiao always says Mian Mian is the little fairy of the grassland. She has a gentle appearance and a heart sweeter than the gozang flower. That early morning, the little giraffe Duardro could unreach the tall silk tree flowers and was so hungry that she kept licking her lips. Mian Mian hurriedly walked to the tree, gently rolled her long nose around the branch and pulled. The fresh and tender petals fell down. Duodwo, come and eat. Duodwo chewed on the petals and shook her long neck, saying, "Thank you, Mian Mian. Your nose works better than a small ladder. The petals are so sweet and fragrant." In the morning, the sun made the grassland warm and cozy. The little antelopes were panting beside the rocks. Mian Mian ran to the riverbank, sucked in the cool water with her nose, gently sprayed water at the bleats, and then fanned her big ears very fast. Come and cool off. The cool water splashed on their bodies. The bleats jumped and said, "Sister Mian Mian, your nose is more wonderful than a watering can, and your ears are more comfortable than a gazebo." At noon, little lion Tuanchuan accidentally fell into a pit and couldn't climb up, crying out in anxiety. Mian Mian slowly walked to the edge of the pit and lowered her long nose. "Tuanchuan, hold my nose." Tuanchuan held the pink nose tightly. Mian Mian gently pulled it out and even helped it wipe off the dirt on its body. Tuanchuan rubbed against Mian Mian's leg and said, "Thank you, Mian Mian. Your nose is stronger than a rope, so reliable." In the afternoon, the little girl Duardwo from the neighbor's house came to play on the grassland and accidentally blew her bow onto a branch. When Mian saw this, she carefully pushed aside the leaves with her long nose, rolled out the bow as if it were a treasure hunt, and gently placed it in front of Duardwo. Duardwo held the bow and smiled. "Mian, you are such a gentle big friend. My bow is back." In the evening, dark clouds drifted from the sky, and it seemed that a heavy rain was about to fall. Mian Mian recalled the family of little marmots at the edge of the grassland, whose burrows were easily flooded. Mian Mian quickly piled up a high mound of earth around the cave with her nose and feet, and used her big ears to block the strong wind blowing in. When the raindrops fell, the marmot family was steadily in their cave, potting their heads out and expressing their gratitude repeatedly. The setting sun dyed the grassland a warm pink. The friends gathered by the pond and held a small sharing session. Duodwo brought sweet petals. Baimio presented fresh and tender green grass, and the little girl brought sweet fruits. Mian Mian rolled up the fruit with her nose, her eyes narrowed into slits, and her heart felt warm. Little zebra Tiao, Chow said, soft pink skin is beautiful, and a heart that is willing to help others shines even brighter. When the moon rose, Maya Mian stood by the pond, her long pink nose occasionally spraying water. Because of the pink elephant Mian Mian, this small grassland has become safer and more romantic. Such days are more delicious than sweet fruits and make people feel happier than gentle pink skin. A warm and busy record of the yellow pine mouse's relaxed forest stockpiling in the forest filled with the fragrance of pine needles. A golden little squirrel was skirting around. Its name was Song Song. Song Song's fur is like sun-dried rice, shining brightly. Her big tail is fluffy, like a yellow velvet flower. When she runs, her tail curls up and down. Her claws are sharp, but particularly flexible. When she chews on pine cones, it makes a click-click sound. Grandma Rabbit always says Song Song is the forest's little treasure. She is the most active in stockpiling and also the most attentive when helping out. That early morning, little hedgehog Kuki wanted to stock up on wild fruits for the winter, but was always blocked by the prickly spines. Song Song passed by with a pinnacone in his mouth. He quickly put down the food and carefully pushed the wild fruit onto a leaf with his paws, then pushed it to Q. This way, it won't prick. Kuki nudged the wild fruit and said, "Thank you, Sweat. Your claws are even more skillful than a little spoon. I can finally stock up." In the morning, the sun was warm and cozy. A hole was blown in the chirping nest of a little sparrow. Song Song immediately climbed up the big tree, rolled up soft, dry grass with his tail, and carried thin vines to help Shoo Shoo fill the nest tightly. He also laid a layer of pine needles at the edge. This is both warm and strong. Shoo Shoo jumped into the new nest, flapping her wings and saying, "Brother Song Song, your tail is more useful than a small basket." The new home is so comfortable. At noon, the little master Duo came to the forest to pick pine cones for handicrafts. She searched for a long time but couldn't find a complete one. Song Song saw through her thoughts and, with a whoosh, jumped up the pine tree, used his paws to scrape off a few plump pine cones, gently threw them at Duodwo's feet, and wagged his big tail at her. Duodwo held the pine cones and smiled. "Song Song, you are really my little guide. These pine cones are so beautiful." In the afternoon, little fox Hong Hong could unfind the nuts she had hidden and was so anxious that she was pacing round in the tree hole. Song Song recalled the pile of nuts he had seen when stockpiling. He quickly led Hong Hong to run towards the crevice of the rock, using his paws to rip away the fallen leaves, revealing the nuts hidden beneath. "Look, here they are." Hong Hong held the nuts and said, "Thank you, Song Song. Your memory is even better than a small notebook. You're so reliable." In the evening, dark clouds drifted over, indicating that it was going to rain. Song Song remembered that the grains of the little ant Guo were still drying on the stones. It rushed over quickly, using its big tail as a little broom to sweep the grain into the leaf bag, and then carried the leaf bag to the ant hole in its mouth. When the raindrops fell, the grain had already safely entered the hole. Guagubo waved her antennae and kept thanking. The setting sun dyed the forest a warm yellow. The friends gathered around the loose tree holes to hold a stockpiling sharing session. Kuki brought sweet wild fruits, Chuoji carried fresh grass seeds, and Duodwo brought nut cookies. Song Song was munching on a biscuit, her tail curled into a small fluff ball, and the pine cones she had prepared in the tree hole were piled up like a small mountain. Grandma Rabbit smiled and said her fluffy yellow fur is eye-catching, but her enthusiastic and helpful spirit of stockpiling goods is even more precious. When the moon rose, Song Song was curled up in a pile of pine-cone nuts, still holding half a biscuit in her paws. Thanks to the yellow pine mouse, the winter in this forest has become warm and cozy. Such days of stockpiling and helping others are sweeter than pine nuts and happier than fluffy tails. Looking back, the turtle slowly and heartwarming races a race is going to be held in the forest. Among the participants are the fast-jumping little rabbit Tiao Tiao, the high-flying bird Choo Choo, and the turtle Mongmen carrying a hard shell. Everyone laughed slowly. You climbed so slowly, you must be the last one. Slowly blinking her little eyes, she didn't say a word, just wiped the shell shiny. As soon as Grandpa Goat blew the whistle, Tiao Tiao shot out with a whoosh. Choo Choo flapped its wings to take the lead, and slowly climbed step by step steadily. While running, I gradually heard a woo cry. Looking back, I saw that the little hedgehog Kuki had plunged into the thorn bush, and its spines were covered with small spines. He immediately stopped, used his hard shell to hold the thorns, helped Kuki move out bit by bit, and also helped him remove the fruits from the thorns. After slowly catching up with the group, there was another plop. Little rabbit Tiao Chao's foot was sprained by a stone, and he sat on the ground, baring his teeth. Slowly and quickly crawl over, let Tiao Chao lie on his shell, and carry him forward. The little bird Chirp saw this and flew back, holding the slow tip of its shell to help pull. Finally, the three of them crossed the finish line together. Grandpa Goat raised the trophy and smiled. Although it's slow, it always turns back to help its partners. This is the true winner of the race. Everyone gathered around and clapped slowly. Slowly, the shell shone brightly in the sunlight, even more dazzling than the trophy. From then on, the forest called him Warm Heart Slowly, because everyone knew that his turning back concealed the most precious warmth. The warm and lucky story of the orange thorn and hedgehog in Tuan Tuan Orchard. In the orchard laden with oranges, there rolled a round orange hedgehog. Its name was Tuan Tuan. Tuan Tuan's back is like a layer of orange velvet, with sharp thorns that have a faint golden edge. When the sunlight shines on it, it sparkles. Her round face is set with eyes like black grapes. When she runs, her body rolls up and down like a moving little orange. Sister Rabbit always says Tuan is a little courier in the orchard. Her thorns are sharp, and her heart is sweeter than orange honey. That early morning, little squirrel Tao picked a basket full of pine cones, but couldn't move them. Tuan quickly rolled over and asked Tao to gently place the pine cone on her back. The sharp thorn firmly pricked the pinnacone. "Don't worry, I'll help you carry it home." It rolled slowly with pine cones on its back, not a single one falling off. Tao followed beside it and said, "Thank you, Tuan. Your back is even stronger than a small basket. So reliable." In the morning, the sun made the orchard warm. Little bees buzzed, trying to deliver the brood nectar to the beehive, but the honey jars were too heavy. Tuan found a large maple leaf as a tray, leaned his back against the edge of the leaf, and let Weng place the honey pot on it. He rolled steadily towards the beehive. "Sit firmly. Let's go." Buzzing on the honey pot, he laughed and said, "Brother Tuan, your back is more useful than a small cart. The nectar has been safely delivered." At noon, Duo, a little girl from the neighboring family, came to the orchard to pick oranges. Accidentally, she tripped over a small branch and almost fell onto a stone. Tuan quickly rolled over and shielded Duo's feet with its round body. Duo held its back and stood firm, touching its spines and saying, "Tuan, you are truly my little guard. Your thorn looks sharp, but it's very gentle." In the afternoon, the wings of the little ladybug were wetted by dew, and it couldn't fly. Tuan rolled over to the dandelion, dipped his back in a dandelion fluff, and gently rubbed it against Dion's side. "Use this to wipe. It'll dry quickly." Dion wiped her wings clean and flew around Tuan. "Thank you, Tuan. Your back is softer than a small piece of flannel. I can fly again." In the evening, dark clouds drifted over the sky. Tuan remembered that the oranges she had just picked were still placed under the tree and would be damaged by the rain. It quickly rolled over, tied the oranges one by one onto its back, and transported them to the small warehouse in the orchard in trips, even finding a piece of plastic sheet to cover them. When the fruit grower Grandpa came to visit, all the oranges were fine. He smiled and praised Tuan as a sensible little helper. The setting sun dyed the orchard a warm orange. The friends gathered under the orange tree and held a sweet sharing session. Tao brought plump pine cones, Weng offered fresh nectar, and Duo peeled the orange segments and fed them to Tuan. Tuan was chewing an orange, her eyes narrowed into small crescent moons, and there were still 2 orange segments stuck to her back. Sister Rabbit said Tuan's orange thorns are eye-catching, but her helpful heart is even more precious. When the moon rose, Tuan rolled back to her little nest, which was covered with soft orange peels, warm and cozy. Because of the orange-spined hedgehog Tuan, this small orchard has become more lively and reassuring. Such days are more delicious than sweet oranges and more blissful than the orange fur. Blue clouds and a blue sky, warm and protective memory in the deep blue sky. There is a special cloud floating. It is called Lanlan. Unlike other clouds that are white, Lanlan's body is like a sapphire soaked in seawater, soft and changing its depth with the sunlight. Occasionally, it drips a few cool drops of water. The birds chirp and always say Lanlan is a little angel in the sky with a unique appearance and a heart softer than the clouds. That early morning, the little bees were buzzing among the flowers gathering nectar. As soon as the sun rose, it was particularly scorching, and their buzzing wings were almost unable to flap any further. Lanlan quickly floated over, bloking the sunlight with her soft body and gently sprinkling a few small drops of water. Buzz, come and cool off. Cool water droplets fell on Buzzing, and it immediately perked up, flying around Lanlan. Thank you, Lanlan. Your shadow is more comfortable than the shade of leaves. In the morning, Chirp Chirp's baby fell out of the nest and landed on a high branch. Chirp. Chirp Chirp was so anxious that it kept chirping on the branch. Lanlan quickly floated to the branch, making her body as soft as a cotton candy, and said softly, "Baby, don't be afraid. Jump onto me." The little bird gathered its courage and jumped, landing steadily in Lanlan's arms. Lanlan slowly carried it back to the nest. Choo Choo was so touched that she kept thanking him. At noon, the little hedgehog Kuki on the ground was looking for water to drink, but the small puddles nearby had all dried up. When Lanlan saw this, she quickly gathered the moisture on her body, turning it into a small dark cloud and gently sprinkling a light rain, which formed a pool of clear water on the ground. Kuki lay by the water's edge, drinking big gulps of water and shouting to the sky, "Thank you, Lanlan. The water you sent is sweeter than honey." In the afternoon, the little girl Duadwa from the neighbor's house was flying a kite on the grass. The kite string accidentally got tangled on the top of a tree. Duadwa was so anxious that she almost cried. Lanlan hurriedly floated over and gently pushed the branch with her soft body. The kite string gradually loosened, and the kite swayed and flew down. Duadwo held the kite and smiled. "Lanlan, you are truly my great hero. You look even more beautiful than a kite." In the evening, as the sun was about to set, the little snail was still slowly crawling home. The sky was getting darker and darker. Lanlan quickly made her body emit a faint blue light, like a small lantern, illuminating the way home slowly. Slowly crawling along the blue light, I soon got home and waved my antennae at the sky to express my gratitude. The setting sun dyed the sky a warm orange, and its blue body turned a pinkish blue. All the friends looked up at it, buzzing among the flowers and dancing in circles. Kuki waved to the sky, and Duwadro held up kites to signal to it. The little bird chirped and flew beside Lanlan, saying, "Lanlan, your blue color is special, and your helpful heart shines even brighter." When the moon rose, Lanlan slowly drifted into the night sky and turned into a cloud with a bluish tint. Because of the blue clouds, this sky and grassland have become more lively and warmer. Such days are more pleasant than cool water droplets and make people feel happier than a blue body. The spring homey journey of little yellow rabbit Duardwo on the green grass in spring. There is a fluffy little yellow rabbit hopping around. Its name is Duardwo. Duardwo's fur is like sun-soft butter. Her long ears are pinkish at the tips, and when she runs, her tail wags up and down, like a little yellow flower that can jump. Mother Rabbit asked it to pick a bunch of violets and reminded it that don't run too far. Follow the direction of the dandelion home. Duardwo held a small bamboo basket and ran after butterflies. She picked a basket full of violets, but when she looked back, the familiar dandelions were gone. The wind blew across the grassland and the leaves rustled. Duardwo was so anxious that her eyes turned red. She squatted on a stone and sniffed. Tap, tap, tap. A colorful butterfly landed on its ear. Are you lost? The butterfly flapped its flower wings and asked. Duardwo nodded and told her mother rabbit what she had said. The butterfly smiled and said, I'll take you away. I know the dandelion signpost. Butterflies are flying in front, and each one is jumping behind. Flying over the clovers, glistening with dewdrops, and bypassing the earthen slope covered with small yellow flowers. I finally saw a field of dandelions. Mother Rabbit was standing at the intersection, waving. Duardwo threw herself into her mother's arms and held up the violet flower, saying, It was Sister Butterfly who sent me back. Mother Rabbit touched the butterfly's wings and handed her sweet clover honey. Under the setting sun, Duardwo and the butterfly held hands and spun around. In the spring breeze, there was nothing but sweet fragrance. The sunshine guide of little sunflower Yang. On the sunny grassland, there stands a tender yellow little sunflower. Its name is Yang Gay. The flower head is like a golden little sun. The petals are soft and the stems are straight, always spinning with the sun. The dewdrops on the leaves are shining like stars. Sister Bee always says Yang is the little lighthouse of the grassland, and her heart is as warm as the sun. That early morning, little Aunt Dodo got lost and was pacing around the stone in a hurry. Yang shook the flower plate and said, Dodo, don't panic. I'll help you find a home. It remembered that Dodo's home was beside the clover, so it let the sunlight shine on its flower bed and cast its shadow as an arrow. Follow my shadow. Dodo crawled forward along the shadow. Yang slowly turned around with the sun, and the shadow guided her all the way out, climbing over the moist soil and bypassing the slope covered with small flowers. I finally saw patches of clover, and an ant colony was waiting at the intersection. Dodo waved her antennae and shouted, Thank you, Yang. Your shadow is more accurate than road signs. In the evening, as the sun set, Yang's flower beds shone with a warm light. Dodo brought her friends sweet honey-dew. Yang drank the honey-dew and felt sweet in her heart. It turns out that the joy of helping others is even warmer than the sunshine. The story of Little Aunt Tuan's collaboration in the grass of the park. There lives a group of tiny ants, among which the most active one is Tuan Tuan. It has a shiny black shell and two thin antennae on its head. When it walks, it always wobbles around as if scouting the surrounding situation. Tuan Tuan is not very strong, but it is particularly good at uniting its companions. No matter what difficult problem it encounters, as long as it touches its companions with its antennae, everyone will immediately gather around and work together to find a solution. The friends in the grass all said, with Tuan Tuan around, no matter how big the trouble is, we won't be afraid. One early morning, Tuan Tuan was looking for food in the grass with a few little ants. Suddenly, they smelled a sweet fragrance. It was a biscuit dropped by a child lying beside a stone not far from the ant nest. But the biscuit was 10 times larger than Tuan Tuan's body. Just a few ants couldn't move it at all. Tuan Tuan quickly touched the little friend beside her with her antennae, and then shook her antennae in the direction of the ant nest. This is the ant's message code. It wasn't long before a dark mass of ants crawled out of the ant nest like a small black line, slowly surrounding the biscuit. Tuan Tuan stood in front of the biscuit and directed everyone with his antennae. Some ants crawled under the biscuit to lift it, some ants pushed it from the side, and some ants lay on the biscuit to prevent it from tilting. At first, the biscuit only moved a little, but not a single ant gave up. After a while, the biscuit actually moved forward slowly. The little ladybug Dion, who passed by, lay on the leaf to look and couldn't help but shake its back shell at them. The little ants are so amazing. United, we are stronger than big stones. In the morning, the sun gradually rose higher. The little snail in the grass gradually ran into trouble. It wanted to climb up to the morning glory to eat its leaves, but there was a thin puddle on the way. Although the water in the puddle was not deep, it could wet the snail's shell. Slowly lying by the puddle, his antennae hanging down, he was so anxious that he kept spinning in circles. Tuan Tuan just came back with his friends after carrying the cookies. Seeing the slow scene, he immediately had an idea. It led a few ants to climb onto the dandelion beside it and greeted everyone with its antennae. Let S bring the dandelion S fluff over and build a small bridge. The ants worked in teams. Some bit off the dandelion fluff, some spread the fluff on puddles, and others held it up beside to prevent it from being blown away by the wind. It wasn't long before a soft, fluffy bridge was built. Slowly climbing across the bridge, he waved his antennae at Tuan Tuan and said, "Thank you, Tuan Tuan. Your little bridge is softer than leaves. I can finally eat morning glories." At noon, the sky suddenly turned overcast. Tuan Tuan noticed that dark clouds were drifting towards this side in the distance. It was going to rain. It remembered the little grasshopper Tiao Chow, who lived at the edge of the grass. Tiao Chow's home was made of dry grass and surely couldn't keep out the rain. Tuan Tuan quickly led a few fast-running ants to crawl in the direction of Tiao Chow's home. As they crawled, they touched other ants with their antennae to convey the message, "It's raining. Help Tiao Tiao move house quickly." Some ants helped Tiao Tiao carry the hay, some guided the way, and others spread the hay under the new place, a big stone. Just as I finished moving the things, a heavy rain began to pour down with a pitter-patter sound. Tiao Tiao hid under a stone and hopped towards Tuon. "Thanks to you all, my house wasn't damaged by the rain. The little ants are really my good friends." In the evening, the rain stopped and the setting sun dyed the grass orange. Tuan, and her friends were sitting at the entrance of the ant nest, sharing the cookie crumbs they had found during the day. Little ladybug Dion, little snail man, and little grasshopper Tiao Tiao also came over. Everyone gathered around the small cookie crumbs, taking one bite after another, enjoying them very much. Tuan was chewing the sweet cookies, feeling warm in her heart. It turned out that she was so small, yet she could help. Dion Marvel help him cross the bridge slowly and help Tiao Tiao move house together with her friends. The power of unity was much greater than she had imagined. When the moon rose, all the ants returned to their nests to rest. The grass was quiet, with only the rustling sound of the evening breeze brushing against the leaves. She thought to herself, tomorrow she will have to look for food with her friends and help them. Such days are more fragrant than sweet cookies and more shiny than the shiny black shells. A heartwarming story of a strong calf's farm. On Grandpa's farm lived a little yellow ox, and everyone called him Guang. He had a coat of short golden fur, like a small blanket woven by sunlight. His 4 legs were as strong as small pillars, and he walked steadily. He also had a pair of tiny ox horns, which felt soft, not yet stiff. Zhuang is strong but has a particularly gentle personality. All the little animals on the farm like to play with him. Even the newly hatched chicks dare to jump onto his back to bask in the sun. That early morning, Zhuangguang had just finished gnawing at the tender grass on the meadow when he heard the sound of panting. It was the old goat Grandpa from the farm. He was about to move the bamboo basket full of carrots to the warehouse, but the basket was too heavy and he was so tired that he kept wagging his tail after just a few steps. Zhuangguang hurried over, gently pressed his head against the bamboo basket and mooed at Grandpa Old Goat, as if saying, "Grandpa, I'll push it for you." He walked slowly with a bamboo basket on his head, his 4 legs firmly on the ground, not swaying at all. Grandpa Old Goat followed beside him, smiling and saying, "Zhuangguang is such a good child, more reliable than my little cart." In the morning, as the sun gradually rose, the chicks on the farm were playing the Find Bugs game in the yard. Suddenly, they noticed a hole in the roof of the chicken coop. If it rained, the eggs in the coop would surely get wet. The cookers were buzzing anxiously around the chicken coop, but they were too weak to move the dry grass needed to repair the roof at all. Zhuang heard the cry and rushed over. He picked up the hay bale on the ground with his mouth and slowly carried it to the chicken coop. He also helped the cookers spread the hay on the hole. The gurus pecked at the corn kernels on the ground at Zhuang and said, "Zhuang, this is for you to eat. Thank you for helping us repair the chicken coop." At noon, my neighbor's little brother Dodo came to the farm to play. He wanted to ride the little wooden horse, but the wooden horse on the farm broke down. Seeing Dodo's disappointed look, Zhuang quickly walked up to her, slowly knelt down on her front legs, and let out a moo at Dodo. Grandpa smiled and said, "Dodo, Zhuang asked you to ride on its back. It will walk very slowly." Dudu carefully climbed onto Zhuang's back. Zhuang slowly stood up and walked steadily around the grass. Dudu put her arm round Zhuang's neck and laughed. Zhuang's back is even more comfortable than a little wooden horse. In the afternoon, dark clouds suddenly drifted from the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. The wheat that Grandpa dried in the yard hasn't been brought back to the barn yet. If it gets wet by the rain, it will sprout. Zhuang hurriedly ran to the pile of rice, blocking the wind blowing towards it with his body. He also mooed at his grandpa's house, reminding him to come and harvest the wheat quickly. When Grandpa heard this, he quickly ran out with tools. Zhuang even helped to push the scattered wheat grains into the pile with his nose. Just as the wheat was harvested into the barn, raindrops began to fall with a drip-drip sound. Grandpa stroked Zhuang's head and said, "Thanks to Zhuang, otherwise all this wheat would have been wasted." In the evening, the setting sun dyed the farm orange red. Zhuang was lying on the grass, surrounded by Grandpa Old Goat, the gurus, and Dut. Everyone was sharing the green grass cookies and carrot sticks given by Grandpa. Zhuang was chewing the sweet carrot, looking at the smiling faces of his friends, with his tail gently swaying, feeling warm in his heart. Suddenly he felt that his strength was not only for walking and eating grass, but also for helping Grandpa Old Goat carry things, helping the cuckoos repair the chicken coop, taking Dudu to play, and reminding Grandpa to harvest the wheat. It was much happier than eating grass alone on the grassland. It turns out that even a tiny calf can, with its own strength and gentleness, become a little guard on the farm, bringing safety and happiness to every friend. But when the moon rose, Zhuang was still walking slowly on the grass. His golden fur sparkled gently in the moonlight like a moving little piece of gold. The farm is quiet, with only the chirping of insects and the rustling of the wheat stalks in the wind. Thanks to Zhuang, this farm has become increasingly lively and warm. Such days are sweeter than tender grass and more reassuring than strong calves. Little wooden horse Dada Dai's room companion notes. In the corner of the little boy Dodo's room, there was a small brown wooden horse. Dudu named it Dada. Dada's body is made of smooth wood, and a faint wood grain can still be seen on it, as if it were wearing a small coat with patterns. Its 4 short wooden legs stand steadily on the ground. There is a small red bell tied around its neck. When it is shaken, it will make a dingling, dingling sound. The cutest part is its little head, which is painted with a pair of round black eyes, as if it is always smiling at Dodo. Dudu has had Dada since she was 3 years old. Whether happy or sad, she would run to Dada's side and ride on its back, swaying back and back. That early morning, Dodo was a little unhappy as soon as he woke up. His mother said he was going to get an injection today. Just thinking about the needle made him a little scared. He sat by the bedside, pout his lips, and didn't even want to touch his favorite dinosaur toy. The Dada in the corner seemed to have read Dodo's mind. When Dodo walked over, the little bell around its neck suddenly shook slightly, making a jingling sound, as if greeting. Dudu squatted down, touched the smooth wooden body, and suddenly wanted to try riding it. He climbed onto Dada's back, grabbed its neck with both hands, and with a gentle force, Dada began to shake back and forth. The bell followed the jingle-jingle sound, as if saying, "Don't be afraid, I'll play with you." After swaying for a while, Dodo's lips gradually curled up. "Thank you so much, da-da-da. Riding on your back, I don't seem so afraid of getting injections anymore." In the morning, Dodo's good friend Lele came to play at home. The two of them wanted to play the game night adventure, but they couldn't find a suitable horse after searching for a long time. Lele's saw the Dada in the corner and his eyes lit up at once. "Dodo, let's ride the Dada as knights. It also has a little bell. It must be particularly imposing." Dudu nodded. The two of them took turns riding on Dada's back, one as the knight and the other as the guide. Dada's bell kept ringing jingle jingle, as if singing along with their laughter, when they were tired from playing. The two still sat beside Dada and told it the story of the knight defeating the dragon. Lele also said Dada must be the bravest warhorse, even more powerful than the horses in the story. Dada's black eyes seemed even brighter as she listened quietly to their story. At noon, Mum was making lunch in the kitchen and asked Dodo to tidy up the toys in the room. Dudu was halfway through tidying up when he suddenly wanted to find a comfortable home for Dada. Dada had always been placed on the floor in the corner before, and he felt it was a bit cold. Dudu found her own small blanket and laid it under Dada. She also placed her favorite dinosaur doll beside Dada, as if she had found a companion for it. Mum came in and saw it. She smiled and patted Dodo's head, saying, "Our Dodo is so considerate. They even know to lay a blanket for Doda. Dada must be very happy." Dudu lay beside Dada, listening to the sound of stir-frying in the kitchen, feeling warm in her heart. In the afternoon, it suddenly started to drizzle. Dudu couldn't go out to play and felt a bit listless. He sat on Dada's back, swaying and swaying. Suddenly, he remembered the time when he and his parents went to the park to ride the big wooden horse before he pointed at Dada's eyes and said, Dada, do you know, last time I went to the park, the big wooden horse was much taller than you, but I still thought you were the cutest because you were always in my room with me. Saying that, he gently patted Dada's body. Dada's bell rang again with a jingle, as if responding to him. Dudu just rode the Dada for the whole afternoon and made up many adventure stories about the little wooden horse Dada. She didn't feel bored at all. In the evening, the setting sun dyed the room orange-red. Dudu spread the drawing paper on the ground, wanting to draw a picture for Dada. He carefully drew the wood grain of Dada, the red bell, and the round black eyes. After finishing, he also drew a small self beside Dada, riding on its back and holding a small sword in his hand. Dudu stuck the picture on the wall beside Dada and said to Dada, Dada, look. From now on, you and my paintings will accompany me. We will always be good friends. When the moon rose, Dodo lay on the small bed, looking at Dada in the corner. Its figure was quiet under the moonlight, as if it were also taking a rest. The room was quiet, with only the sound of rain outside the window and the occasional gentle tapping of bells in the wind. Because of the tapping, this small room became more and more lively and warm. Such days were more enjoyable than going to the park and louder than the red bells. The soft little earthworm's guardian story of the vegetable garden in Grandma's vegetable garden. There is a little underground hero hidden, a soft earthworm, which everyone calls Ruin Ruin. He was dressed in a dark brown tight-fitting suit, his body slippery and without limbs, yet he could nimbly crawl in and out of the soil, leaving narrow channels as if weaving a breathable small net for the soil. During the day, Ruan Ruin hides in the soil, and only at night does she quietly stick her head out to look at the stars in the vegetable garden. Grandma always says, with Ruan Ruin around, our vegetables can grow lush and green. At first, the little ants and ladybugs in the vegetable garden were a little afraid of him, thinking he looked strange, until a few minor incidents occurred. That early morning, the leaves of the little green vegetables planted by Grandma were a bit wilted, and the soil was so hard that not even rainwater could seep in. Soft, who had been hiding in the soil, sensed it and quickly scurried around beside the roots of the green vegetables. Wherever his body had crawled, the hard soil gradually became soft, leaving tiny holes that allowed air and moisture to seep in. It wasn't long before the little green vegetables gradually unfurled their leaves and turned lush green. Little Aunt Guagu passed by the green vegetables and saw Ruan Ruin in the soil. For the first time, she took the initiative to greet them. Ruan Ruin, so you are helping the green vegetables loosen the soil. No wonder the green vegetables look so energetic again. You're even more amazing than the little shovel. Soft poked its head out of the soil and gently swayed its body, as if saying, "This is what I should do." In the morning, as the sun gradually rose, little ladybug Dion was playing in the vegetable garden when she accidentally dropped her favorite red bead into the soil. It was a gift from her little owner, Duadwo Dion. Dion was so anxious that she rummaged through the soil but could not find it no matter how hard she tried. When Guagu saw this, he quickly went to ask Ruan Ruan for help. Ruan Ruan, the little bead has fallen into the soil. Can you help it look for it? Ruan Ruan immediately got up at the spot where the beads had dropped. His body could feel the tiny hard objects in the soil. In no time, he pushed the small beads to the ground. Dion saw Ju Zi and happily lay down beside Ruin. Thank you, Ruin. Your body is more sensitive than my little claws. I've finally found the pearl. From then on, the friends in the vegetable garden no longer found Ruin strange, and always came to play with him. At noon, Duadwo came to the vegetable garden to observe the nature work. She squatted on the ground, wanting to see if there were any small creatures in the soil. Grandma pointed at the soft earthworm in the soil and whispered to Duadwo, "Duadwo, look. This is the soft earthworm. It's a little hero in the vegetable garden. It can help the soil become fertile and make the vegetables grow better." Duadwo gently held Ruan Ruin in her palm. Ruan Ruin wasn't afraid at all and was still slowly crawling in her palm. Duadwo smiled and said, "Ruan Ruin is so cute. I didn't know earthworms were so powerful. I'm going to draw them in my homework." She took out a drawing paper and carefully drew the image of Ruan Ruin bursling in the soil. She also drew green vegetables beside it and marked "Little Hero of the Vegetable Garden, Earthworm Ruan Ruin." In the afternoon, dark clouds suddenly drifted from the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. Soft thought of the little snail in the corner of the vegetable garden. Slowly, its shell was a little cracked. Fearing that it would be washed into the deep soil by the rain, Ruan Ruin quickly climbed to Mung Mang's side and used her body to dig a small pit around Mung Mang. Then she pushed the fallen leaves beside her to the edge of the pit, as if she had built a small house for Mung Mang. When the rain started, I slowly hid in a pit and wasn't washed away at all. After the rain stopped, I slowly climbed to Ruan Ruin's side and said, "Thank you, Ruan Ruin. Your pit is safer than my shell. I'm not afraid of the rain anymore." I shook my body gently and looked at the vegetable garden after the rain, together with Mungman. The air was filled with the fresh fragrance of the earth. In the evening, the setting sun dyed the vegetable garden orange red. Duadwo showed her grandma the homework she had drawn and deliberately pointed out the soft parts to her grandma. Grandma smiled and picked a sweet strawberry for Duadwo and also left a small piece for Ruan Ruin to put in the soil that was Ruan Ruin's favorite food. The friends in the vegetable garden gathered around Ruan. Guaguo shared the breadcrumbs she had found, and Dian showed off the small beads she had lost and found again. They slowly lay down beside her to bask in the sun. Everyone was very happy. Soft lay in the soft soil, feeling that although she was unremarkable, she could help the green vegetables grow, find small beads and build rain shelters. It was much more interesting than just crawling round in the soil. When the moon rose, soft, slowly sank into the soil, getting ready to rest. The vegetable garden is quiet, with only the rustling sound of the evening breeze brushing against the vegetable leaves. Thanks to Ruan, this small vegetable garden has become increasingly fertile and lively. Ruan knew that when the sun rose tomorrow, he could continue to loosen the soil in the vegetable garden and play with his friends. Such days were sweeter than the food in the soil and more comfortable than the soft soil. The sweet memories of the little Peach's pink orchard in Grandpa's orchard. There is a tall peach tree. At the very top of its branches hangs the most eye-catching peach, and everyone calls her Fen. Her body was plump and round. She wore a tender pink coat, which was covered with a layer of fine white down, as if sprinkled with a handful of white granulated sugar. On her head was a small green hat, 2 tiny peach leaves. When the wind blew, they swayed gently, as if greeting a passing bird. When the peach leaves are not yet ripe, they are green. After being exposed to enough sunlight, they will gradually turn red from the tip and eventually become tender pink all over. They will also give off a sweet peach fragrance. Even butterflies flying by can't help but stop on the peach leaves to smell them. That early morning, just as Fen was moistened by the morning dew and shone brightly, she heard the anxious Gigi sound. It was the chirping of a little sparrow. It had been flying for a long time, its stomach growling with hunger, but it couldn't find anything good to eat. Shu landed on the peach branch and smelled the sweet fragrance on Fen. Its eyes lit up immediately, but it was afraid that its little paws might damage Fen and dared not approach. Fen quickly shook the little peach leaf on top of her head and said, Shu, don't be shy. The fragrance on my body is inviting you. Shu carefully pecked at a small bite of Fen's flesh. Sweet juice spread in its mouth. It happily flapped its wings and said, Thank you, Fen. Your flesh is sweeter than nectar. I'm finally not hungry. In the morning, the sun rose slowly. The little snail in the orchard was slowly looking for the sweetest dew, but after crawling for a long time, it only found a few slightly astringent leaves. Slowly smelling the sweet fragrance of the powder, I climbed up the tree trunk slowly and waved my antennae at the powder. Powder. Do you know where there is sweet dew water? Fen pointed at the morning dew on her peach leaf. It was deliberately kept by her, shiny and still carrying the fragrance of peaches. Slowly lying on the peach leaf, she sipped the dew in small mouthfuls and shook her shell at Fen. Thank you, Fen. Your dew is much sweeter than the one I found, and it even carries your fragrance. At noon, Duadwal, a little girl from the neighbor's house, came to the orchard to help her grandpa pick fruits. She immediately saw the pink ones at the top of the branches and her eyes lit up. Grandpa, this peach is so pink. It must be extremely sweet. Grandpa smiled and nodded, then brought over a small stool and asked Duadwa to carefully pick off Fen. Duadwa held Fen in her palm, reluctant to eat it immediately. She whispered to Fen, you are so beautiful. I'm going to take you to Lele to have a look. Pinfen lay in Duardwo's palm, feeling the warm temperature and feeling sweet in her heart. It turned out that she was not just a peach, but could make a child so happy. Duardwo took Fenfen to look for her good friend Lely. When Lely saw Fenfen, he immediately cheered. "Wow! This peach is more pink than any I've ever seen. Let's treat it as the little star of snacks and playhouse." They found a clean lotus leaf as a plate, placed the pink powder in the middle of the leaf, and also found a small branch as a fork, playing the afternoon tea game one after another. Tired from playing Duardwo and Lely shared Fenfen together. They took bites each other, and the sweet flesh made both of them laugh so hard that they squinted their eyes. Lely said while eating, "This is the sweetest peach I've ever eaten because I shared it with Duardwo." In the afternoon, dark clouds suddenly drifted from the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. Fenfen recalled the little ladybug Diandian in the corner of the orchard. Its back shell was a bit cracked and it was afraid of getting wet by the rain. Fenfen quickly asked the peach friends who had not yet been picked to shake the branches, using the rustling of the leaves to remind Dian. Dian heard the sound and quickly climbed to the branch where Fenfen had been hanging before. This peach leaf was big and green, just right to keep off the rain. When the raindrops fell with a drip-drip sound, the dots lay under the leaves and shook the spot in the direction before the pink powder. "Thank you, pink powder. Your reminder came faster than raindrops. I didn't get wet at all." In the evening, the setting sun died, the orchard orange-red. Grandpa washed the peaches he had picked and put them in a plate. Duardwo and Lely surrounded them. He also invited Juju and Mung Mung. Mung Mung was lying on the edge of the plate to have a sharing session together. Grandpa picked up a peach and said with a smile, "Look, the tiny peach can not only fill your stomach, but also help friends and bring happiness. That's the sweetest part." Duardwo and Lely nodded half understandingly and picked up another peach. Today's peach seemed sweeter than usual because it contained Fenfen's enthusiasm. When the moon rose, the orchard was quiet, and the remaining peach branches were still gently swaying. Although Fenfen was eaten, her sweetness remained in Duardwo and Lely's mouths, and her enthusiasm stayed in Juju and Mung Mung's hearts. When Grandpa was clearing the plates, he carefully collected the pink peach pits, planning to plant them in the orchard again next year. He knew that next spring new peach saplings would sprout here and new pink would grow, continuing to spread sweetness and joy in the orchard. Such days would be sweeter than the flesh of peaches and more colorful than the outer skin of the pink.